You know, given that I'm called the guy with no name, you'd think I'd be wearing a hat. I'm not, but if I was, I would definitely tip it to everyone involved in the making of Shogun. Hey, guy with no name here. Apologies for the delay in getting the video out. My wife and I and daughter were actually on vacation in Hawaii up until recently, so it was a great time though. We got to see a lot of different parts of the island, and the main reason we were there was to attend the 20th anniversary concert for Lost that was put on by Michael Giacchino, and that was a great experience. We got to see him, got to see one of the showrunners and writers of Lost, Carlton Cuse, and then two of the actors, Henry Ian Cusick and Evangeline Lilly, and they were all great. It was a great experience. I know a lot of people have strong opinions on Lost. Me personally, I love it. But even with all those busy plans that we had going on, my wife and I still were going to make time for the finale of Shogun. So when that came out, we watched it that day, and I for sure was going to make a video on it once we got back. So if you enjoy this video though, please like and subscribe. I appreciate the support. But let's get into Shogun. Full disclosure, by the way, up until this series was announced, I really wasn't aware of its existence. It was originally a novel by James Clavell, and in 1980 it was adapted into a TV miniseries. But I'd heard good things, and much like I did with Dune Part 1 and 2, I went in knowing nothing of the story. So Shogun is a historical fiction, but most of the characters are at least loosely based on real-life people, and the events are also vaguely similar to the actual history of Japan. The series follows John Blackthorne, an English sailor lost at sea whose ship accidentally wrecks into Japan, and he is simply trying to survive this encounter despite not knowing their language or their culture. It also centers around Lord Yoshi Toranaga, who is trying to navigate the politics of feudal Japan, trying his hardest not to start a bloody civil war, but also to avoid the pitfalls of his rivals. When Blackthorne and Toranaga meet, both are ambitious in their own ways, and they each seem to believe they can use the other for their own personal gain. Shogun was created by Rachel Kondo and Justin Marks, and stars Hiroyuki Sanada as Lord Toranaga, Cosmo Jarvis as John Blackthorne, aka Anjin-san, meaning pilot or navigator, Anna Sawai as Toda Mariko, a woman with a mysterious family history who is entrusted the task of being Blackthorne's translator by Toranaga, and a host of others as the supporting cast who all play their parts expertly. So to sum up my thoughts, Shogun is nothing short of impressive. I'm really happy that shows like these are still being made, because in my mind, I could have seen it being a hard thing to sell. I mean, sure, it's based on a novel, and there was a miniseries adapted in the 80s, but Shogun is certainly not a household name when it comes to IP. Also, it's an expensive story to tell in the right way, and you know, you can tell they really took their time to make sure it all looked really great, and it's a historical drama, and then on top of that, I would say easily more than half of the words spoken in the show are in Japanese and not English, so that means reading a lot of subtitles, which sounds, you know, annoying to, I think, a lot of people. But I will say, by the way, if you have not watched the show, don't let that deter you, because, you know, I guess maybe the first 5 or 10 minutes I was thinking about the fact that I was reading subtitles, but the story really does a great job of engrossing you in it, and just really, you know, 10 minutes or so in, I wasn't even thinking about the fact that I was reading subtitles. I was just reading them to see what these fascinating characters were saying to each other or not saying to each other, and really just getting invested in the story. There are a lot of themes that Shogun touches upon, whether it's family ties, honor, duty, shame, religion, patriotism, etc. But definitely one of the main themes is the difference between Blackthorne's European culture and that of the Japanese. And I really like how this was handled. It was handled in a beautiful way, where it's more like a realistic approach where it's not black and white that, oh, this culture's better than this culture, you know, either one. I appreciated that it showed that there are pros and cons, you know, positives and negatives to each of the cultures, and kind of shows that Blackthorn is a fish out of water, but there are certain times where he's at an advantage given his upbringing and his you know, worldview, and he's able to do things that the people around him wouldn't have even, you know, thought of, because they're so ingrained in, you know, these cultures are ingrained in each other's minds. So there are times where it's a positive, but then there are times when it puts Blackthorn at a distinct disadvantage and puts, you know, Toranaga in the advantage or whoever's around him. So it's really fun seeing how the different cultures kind of play off each other, and how sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's not. But yeah, there are lots of other things that are great about the show, including, you know, the characters are just really well thought out, and their relationships and their motivations it's just very intriguing. The story is great. You kind of don't know where it's gonna go. Sometimes there's some surprising things that happen, to be sure, and all of this is kind of put together by gorgeous visuals and a great score as well. The action was also really great. I thought it wasn't over choreographed or under choreographed. They felt like real fights, to be honest. Also, I appreciated that it is a historical drama after all, so there's definitely a lot of politics and intrigue and character development going on, and there's definitely fighting throughout, but it's not, you know, all the time. It's not pervasive. But to me, that just made it feel more realistic and made those action scenes hit that much harder. And every once in a while, there would be something that happens completely out of the blue. You know, it goes from talking to immediate action, and you're like, whoa, like, so I thought it was handled really well. But definitely, before going into it, know that expect that there are going to be fights, but it's not an action-packed show. And also, with those fights comes a lot of blood and gore and dismemberment. There is some torturing that happens and some nudity as well. So it's definitely for mature audiences only, and people who will handle that. And, you know, it is on streaming, so you can fast forward if you want, obviously. Overall, I would rank Shogun 4.5 out of 5 stars. And I would almost rank it a 5 out of 5, except I felt like the finale was a bit underwhelming. I think the second to last episode really ended on a big high, and there was a cliffhanger, and I felt like the resolution of everything, I don't know if it felt rushed per se, but it just tied up a little bit differently than I expected, and I was hoping for more. So the ending didn't stick the landing as much as I would have liked, but still, 4.5 out of 5 is a big ranking. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Please let me know in the comments, by the way, if you agree with my ranking. Obviously, this is if you have seen the series as well. So if you've seen the series, let me know what you would rank it. And also, let me know too if you have not watched it and are planning to, and if you have read the novel and or seen the 80s series. I know I'm definitely considering reading the novel after how much I enjoyed the series. So I'm interested to see whatever you guys have to say about Shogun. So appreciate you guys. This is Guy with No Name signing off.